Godzilla Minus One was directed by Takashi Yamazaki and is the newest Godzilla movie under Toho. This movie already released in Japan about a month ago to coincide with the 70th anniversary of Godzilla, but has just released in North America, and I was very excited to talk about it. In this movie, we follow characters after the events of World War II in Japan, which essentially has resulted in a lot of processing trauma and grief and trying to find new lives amidst all of the damage and destruction that's taken place. But also have to deal with the fact that there seems to be a giant monster that is emerging from the ocean and is destroying even more all of a sudden, and having to deal with this new threat. This is a movie that I was very interested in because I think when it comes to Godzilla, the things that you can do when it comes to the handling, especially themes that are to do with war and the fallout of it, that's what Godzilla is built on. If you see the entire legacy of the franchise, it always started off with the end of the war, advent of nuclear weapons, what that could create, humanity's, constant tinkering with technology could make something horrible happen. And even as silly as movies got with Godzilla, at the end of the day, it always comes down to that. The politics of the movie and the social constructs that it's dealing with. And Godzilla Minus One in that way is very similar to Shin Godzilla because it has that as its core focus. Yes, it gives you the spectacular kaiju action you've come to expect, but at the end of the day, this movie also ends up being a surprisingly very emotionally touching piece on how to deal with trauma and grief after a devastating event. And I absolutely loved this movie. I saw this in IMAX earlier today with a pretty packed crowd, if I may say. I think about 95% of it was taken, which was really great to see. And right out the gate, this movie manages to give you exactly what you want. You want a big, massive spectacle to behold with some gorgeous visual effects, and this movie absolutely delivers on those. It's shot on a budget of, I think the US dollar amount is $15 million, which astounds me. The fact that it was able to look this good on what is considered to be kind of a shoestring budget for major blockbusters is amazing. Apparently, Yamazaki has said he wants to do a Star Wars movie down the line. I say give it to him. And hell, give him a Marvel movie, a DC movie, whatever the hell he wants to do. If he wants to make them, this guy will probably end up doing franchise best work with those. Because this movie is absolutely remarkable. One of the things that, before I get into more of the, serious themes, one of the things that I really love about this movie is how terrifying a force it makes Godzilla. Every scene where Godzilla appears and he is wreaking havoc around him, whether it's in the ocean or it's in a city, it's done in such a visceral way that every time you're not exactly going, yay, cool monster. You're going, holy shit, monster. That thing is killing thousands of people. That is very scary. And very well conveyed, that sense of, grand destruction and scale. But in the middle of all the destruction being caused by Godzilla, you also have the human characters. And this is often an aspect given the side eye because who cares about human characters in a Godzilla movie, right? In this case, I have to give major props to the movie for not only making me care for them, but be so emotionally invested that you find yourself swept up in the moment very effectively. Our main character, Koichi, for instance, he's just come back from the war. This is not a spoiler. This is the first 1-2 minutes of the movie. He's a kamikaze pilot. And if you don't know what that means, yeah, that's, he's essentially supposed to be a pilot who's just he's bombing away. So the fact that he has not done that is something that haunts him, and a mission goes wrong, and that plays on him a lot. And the trauma of certain things that he has seen and witnessed as a result are constantly a factor into every decision he's making after. As this is going on, he meets other characters who are trying to move past the war and find a new lease at life, and the same thing. It's just trying to understand that pain. But it's not an easy pain, especially when you've seen people just get, murdered in front of you. It's obviously a haunting thought. And again, the movie's exploration of that trauma and trying to, reconcile with those emotions, find a way to grieve and process that, I think is an amazing strength, and it factors into even the action sequences. There are major decisions involved in which, are factoring into that. Major props to the way the film represents those things along with the action. I was just as invested in the human beings as I was in everything else going on with Godzilla. Of course, like I already mentioned, it's visually amazing and it's directed by Yamazaki beautifully. There are some incredibly tense sequences. There's one involving a chase on a boat, which is jaw-dropping stuff. The finale, outstanding. The city sequence you've seen teases of in the trailer, brilliant stuff. I mean, genuinely, there is no dearth of amazing direction over here. There's a fantastic score as well, one of the best I've heard in all year, honestly. It uses Akira Ifukube's themes in such wonderful ways. I really loved it. I've been listening to it, in fact, ever since watching the movie. I've heard it a couple of times on loop now, the album. Really love that. Honestly, I have no issues with this movie. No real issue with it, at least. There are a few things which are a bit of a stretch, maybe. There's one thing that happens where I was like, yeah, okay, that's... Maybe we're going a little far there. But it's one of those things where I honestly didn't mind because I was so invested in certain parts of the story that I was like, you know what? I'm kind of glad this happened. It's such a weird thing to say, but that's kind of what I'm going with. But overall, I just want you guys to go see Godzilla Minus One. Go check it out. Take your friends, family, whoever you'd like. Go see it on the biggest screen. The sound design for this is visceral. It sounds beautiful on the big screen. So definitely go check it out. Hopefully in IMAX if you get the opportunity. And just witness Godzilla in the best way possible. This is honestly one of my favorite movies of the year now. Really top shelf quality. And I'm gonna give Godzilla Minus One a very well-deserved 10 out of 10. Who'd have thought a Godzilla movie would have come up this high in the year? I'm so glad. I love Godzilla. I love the character. I'm glad that there's a movie that's just representing that greatness. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. Let me know what you guys think of Godzilla Minus One if you go check it out in theaters, which I really implore you do. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I will see you guys at the movies.